Tom.
Hi Thomas. Back to Jet. When Thomas Tuchel took over, he reached out to about 50 players, including James Maddison. Jet said he wasn't one of them when we spoke to him last season. I just wondered, in your mind, from watching from afar and then obviously this season, what you think has changed? And have you actually spoken to Thomas Tuchel in the lead up to Jet's support?
I've spoken to Tuchel, but not about Jet actually. So that was before. I think just in such a top example of in football it goes so quick, and we need to remind ourselves about it, and the players need to remind themselves about it sometimes, especially when now the team clearly a coach was talking about the 12 players I need to manage that's not in the team. Okay, I need to explain them that he can go quick. But with his performances, suddenly he's just in the picture because he is athletic. I'm guessing, I don't know, I've spoken to Tuchel about this. Athletic, quick, 1v1 defensively, exceptional good. Look at the performances he's done against PSG and also Burnley and City. Top wingers he's taking out. And when he's bombarding forward, it's very difficult to catch him. And he's, just a great type. He can play both sides, left and right. So, yeah, very good player.
Arguably his best performance last season came against your Brentford team back in February.
I erased that. All games we lose, I can't remember them.
Well, I just wondered, well, if you can't remember, then fair enough. But
Yeah, no.
that day, I mean, he took most people their breath away watching how well he played. And it really did sort of sum up how far he'd come.
Yeah.
Did you notice, even though you were opposition manager that day, real talent?
Definitely noticed that it was difficult for Brian on the day to go past him. No, he's good yet. I actually followed him, since the championship days when Brentford he was already on the radar there back then.
And obviously it's been a fantastic start. The team looks so obviously well put together, but just fighting for everything. Forgive my language, but before you famously talked about the New Zealand no policy. Just wondered what in your mind constitutes how do you sort of guard against it?
Fair play. I actually don't think there's any people that is I think then you're probably a psychopath if you are. I think most people are just not been guided well enough or got the help they need. And hopefully the most people they're getting into a good group and they can see, okay, this is actually how we should behave. And a lot of them need to get guided. Then I would say there's probably a little bit with the ego. There's always the ego who get in the way for all of us. And it's about maybe being guided around that, I think is a key thing. And then I think also it's human nature. It's back in history. You want to be part of a clan. We want to be part of something. And you feel you're accepted and part of something, you're like willing to do more. So if you get into a good environment, good culture, you feel, oh, I'm part of something. Most of the guys that maybe are borderline big egos, maybe we get around them and they get guided in the right way. And the best cultures is the ones where it's not me telling it all the time, but it's the players who's doing within.
Sorry, just as a follow-up, with that in mind, when it comes to bringing anyone into the club or whatever it might be, do you not really look at their sort of, if there's any sort of character references in the past, is it more when you actually deal with a player up front, that's when you really can tell what
Yeah, but we take massive references. Massive, big on it. On any players done in the past, we'll do it the same. And of course, there are some players you are taking in that is like, okay, he's a 10 out of 10, perfect. Others are not 10 out of 10, but they can't be too low, of course. But then you think, okay, I think with our culture, it'll work anyway.
Matt?
Can you talk a little bit to us about building a squad and for modern football, for Champions League campaign? When you look at, for example, your front unit, however you classify it, do you want two of each? Is variety more important than anything?
I think the perfect picture unfortunately, it's not that perfect a lot of times in football or on clubs. In my opinion, is that you have 20 plus 3 players. That's a perfect. 2 in each position. All of them robust. Of course, you can get injuries. And then you need... You probably don't need 20 top players, because I also need that balance of everyone can get enough minutes, so it feeds their ego and where they are in their stage of career and everything. So that's the perfect scenario. It's not that often you get that.
But, when you look at Tottenham's injury record last season, does that come into your planning, or do you have to almost forget about it and say you can't legislate?
No, that's 100%. Of course, it come into the planning. We had too many injuries last year, so we can't get around that. Hopefully, with some of the processes we set in place or put in place, that can help. But it also, with that in mind, of course, we need to be aware that it's a long season, and I said it from the beginning. Hopefully, we're going to play 60 plus games, so that we need to be good enough on the building the players, good enough in doing a rotation at the right time, which is an art and very difficult, and be good enough to have the right amount of players, because you can't have too many, because that's also not good.
Sort of on that as well, can I sort of about central defence? Then you've got, are you in the market for another one? Is Vuskovic gone to Hamburg, and why? And who are your options in there? When you talked about injuries, what's Mickey's situation? Is he going to blow through every game, or is it going to be one of those where you have to?
I think Vuskovic, there's definitely something on that. That he maybe will not be in the club this summer. We have right now 3 centre backs: Mickey, Romeo, Danso, and Ben can play there if necessary. We have Cotta, a young centre defender we got this summer, that is training with the team, running now, training with the team next week, or training with the ball. There's not many left behind. And then Dragason's come back in a couple of months. So I think that should be enough. Not necessarily, no. Not as stands, no, yeah.
Matt.
Hi.
Just want to ask about the striker situation. Obviously, Richarlison's in such good form. Is there anything Solanke can do at the moment more to get into the team, or has Richarlison sort of made it impossible to drop?
I think it's all about performances. Richie has been fantastic in the pre-season. Played well, scoring goals. If you're playing well and scoring goals, you keep your shirt. It's difficult to put him out of the team, and I have no interest in doing that. On the flip side, I think Dom is a very good striker. I think Dominic have been, in my opinion, good for Tottenham. I know he had the injury and then had to come back, and maybe didn't show his highest level in the end of last season. But I think it's 2 good strikers, and we need 2 good strikers. We just said we're going to play 60 games, and with that we need both.
That competition obviously good for Tottenham for sure. Do you think, from Dom's perspective, that is a concern, particularly in a World Cup year, and he tries to get back into the English sort of situation he finds himself in?
I think that's very far away right now. I think he knows that he's a good striker. He knows that I like him. He knows there's competition. I think if he probably knew that let's say he was in team and he performed and Richie was pushing, it's the same for both of them.
And can I ask one about the conversations you have with players when the club's sort of looking to sign them? You spoke last week, you only want players here who want to be here. Maybe there's going to be news today that clubs signed someone who was also strongly linked with other clubs. But in general, how do you sort of convince yourself that a player does want to be here when you're speaking to them?
I think when I speak to them, I'm pretty direct and honest in how I see the player. Of course, want to sell the Tottenham project, of course, but I'm also direct in terms of how I see their role and what we hopefully can make them to become, but also that it will be a fantastic journey, but also can be ups and downs in that journey, and then there's bits I need to work on. We go into that. How can I say, sign off? I would like the player, but the player also needs to sign off to the project and the role.
Jacob.
Thomas, you said before about players having an ego. Presumably, though, there's a good type of ego and a bad type of ego. They need to have that when they're on the pitch, though.
100%. You know, they need to. We all have the ego. We can't live without the ego. None of us would have been in this room probably being in the position you guys are. I am Anthony. We don't have an ego that can push us a bit. So I think that's hugely important. But I think it's important that it's not controlling you in many ways. And I always use that attitude as confident but humble. So you need to be extremely confident in your own abilities, but also humble about the team, humble about your role, humble about what you need to do, humble about is every single day you need to put the hard work in. But of course, when you step on the pitch, when I step in here, you need to look confident, but I'm not humble to do all the hard work. Forget it.
Who maybe doesn't come across as having that kind of humble attitude, are you immediately put off? Or do you think I'd like to get in there and work out what's going on?
I've met a few over the years. I think it's important to try to understand the player. I think it's so easy to say, oh, he doesn't have enough, or you have too much, or it's the easiest way. It's my job together with the coaches to maximize their potential. To maximize their potential, I need to get to know them and try to get into them.
Finish with John, please.
I was wondering if you could give us an overview of this transfer window compared with the ones you've had at Brentford. Has it been a bigger pool because of financial? Something got a bigger financial pool. You're looking for. Was it a smaller pool because you're looking specifically for Champions League? Have the numbers changed?
If any, a smaller pool, I would say. But probably this similar, with just a couple of levels above in terms of what you're looking for. But when you're looking for better players, there's not that many. And we all want the best and the perfect one, that perfect number 10 I described before. There's very few of them out there, if any. So when you do that, there's always some doubts in something. Of course, there is. But it's been a good learning. It's the same processes, but of course I need to get to know how people work here and how the processes are. So that means there's been more work this summer than there's been the other years in Brentford, except the first couple of years, of course. Which is natural.
It seems that other clubs have been involved more. Is it more like you've got to fend off the predators as well as rivals, as well as convince the player?
Say again. So.
You've got to fight, and the club itself has got to fight other clubs that are fighting for the same pool of players.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think it was the same in Brentford, just on a different level. We just competed against other clubs, also wanted the players, so it's the same. There's just a few more you guys in here asking questions, and a few more to digging out stories that's maybe there or maybe not there, but that's the biggest difference.
Is it a stressful period for the manager, or was it?
If I'm, my preferred thing is of course just to coach the players, develop them, train on the pitch, play the matches, ups and downs. This is, it's part of it. So I'm like quite pragmatic. I know I need to do it, and I also want good players in, and you also. So it's fine, but I prefer the other bit.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah.